I would first, on behalf of UNEP and of course CEE, want to welcome UP Singh Saab, Secretary Textiles, who actually has been an inspiration behind us launching this program in Surat and in Gujarat. In fact, when he took over a couple of months back and I had gone to call on him, I was very inspired by some of the thoughts that he put on the table in terms of how we could come up with a benchmarking study for a textile hub and how that is something that could be replicated across the textile hubs in this country. So from that perspective, the work that we are launching today is very, very critical and very important, because while the textile industry has a huge environmental footprint, and if we are going into statistics and reports, the textile sector could account for almost 8% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, we are actually today launching from an India perspective, a study that will not only benchmark these emissions from a textile cluster, but also suggest, as Kartikeya Bhai is saying, how can we mitigate such environmental degradation that is coming forward through a textile cluster like Surat. And for India and for the livelihoods in India, textile sector is in fact one of the most important areas of work from a variety of perspectives. So I think our endeavor as UNEP also is to see that we are able to convene partners to develop knowledge and solutions to advance towards sustainable and circular textile value chain while supporting sound management of chemicals also. From that perspective, UNEP, which has opened its office about 4 years back in India, and we've just been here for a little less than 4 years, our focus has certainly been on textile sector quite a lot. And we have basically focused on advocacy for sustainable fashion and creating platforms that encourage circularity. We have set up a circular design challenge with Lakme Fashion Week and RLAN, which is India's first award for circular fashion. As an inspiration from the Textile Ministry, we are working very closely with NIFT to strengthen their circularity concepts in their curricula. And that's another initiative that I'm very thankful to Mr. UP Singh for having steered that for us. And we are working on this. I'm very happy that Surat has been taken as the first pilot cluster. In fact, Gujarat is known for its environmental leadership. And in fact, Gujarat is the very first state in the world to have started an air pollution emission trading system. And it was started in one of the cities, and to have that kind of environmental vision and environmental leadership shows how much work that is happening in this state. And we are happy that we are starting our textile work with Gujarat state and with Surat textile cluster. I would also like to conclude now that I'm very pleased to share that today's event, we are also kicking off a series of dialogues for the World Environment Day, which is on 5th June. So actually today's event is the kickoff event for also the World Environment Day celebrations. And these series of dialogues around various issues of environment and sustainability will also kickstart the launch of the ecosystem decade. So the decade of ecosystem is being launched this year, and the launch is on 5th June. So from that perspective, also the launch event today has a very special importance. I'm very thankful to Ministry of Textiles, to Secretary Saab and his team, and to Kartikeya Bhai, and to the Gujarat cluster, and to the Surat cluster and the association there, and also to the Department of Industries in the Gujarat government for giving us this opportunity together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atulji. As you say, the Gujarat government support is invaluable in this, and they've always supported us. I will request Shri Shrimali, Additional Industries Commissioner, Government of India, Government of Gujarat, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm very thankful to UNEP and CE for providing an opportunity to be here with you, all of you, and to share the initiatives of the state government for the textile sector as well. Right. With respect to the UP Singh sir, right, I am also very thankful to the government of India for declaring the Atmanirbhar package, right, and it has given a impetus boost to all the industries, including the textile sector. So, no doubt, during the COVID of 1920, 2021, 2021, during the initiative lockdown period, the textile industry has suffered a lot, but after lockdown, the recovery is very good compared to all other sectors. So now it is a very good opportunity for the textile sector uh, 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 and have us cover recovered from the COVID area. The sector has unmatched employment and audit output potential also. Atmanirbhar package have also provided a very good boost to the industries as well. Simultaneously, the manufacturing and export competitiveness, along with the large domestic market, the Make in India is also found a very successful. The government of India's Skill India program also have a very good results for the uh, uh, textile industry. If we see, then the Gujarat is known for its textile hub. It is a cotton hub. Ahmedabad is a cotton fiber, while Surat is a man-made fiber hub. So Gujarat is the best investment destination in India today, and presence of entire textile and value chain is there, from ginning to ready-made garment. So ginning is there, spinning is there, cotton production, no doubt. Total overall India's 70% cotton production is also from Gujarat. So Gujarat is also contributing a lot for the cotton production. It contributes the approximately 27% of India's cotton fiber, and 50% to man-made fiber production, the Gujarat. So Ahmedabad is known for the cotton hub, while Surat is known for the man-made fiber hub. And Surat is as well as known for the jari industry, diamond industry, engineering industry, as well as the textile industry. The state has around more than 100 industrial parks have been sanctioned under the industrial park scheme. Among them, more than 30 parks have been sanctioned in the Surat itself, in the industrial park, as well as the Surat industrial textile park also. So out of 14, 8 to 9 textile parks are there in the Surat. Highest number of medium and large textile processing houses are also there in the Surat, as well as the another potential area is also a Narol, but Surat is also a diamond dyeing and processing hub is also there. So Surat is developing very fast compared to all other cities in India, and therefore, no doubt, they will progress well in the man-made and textile hub also. Now, if you look to the processing machinery, then engineering industry of the Surat itself also producing the processing machinery as well as the weaving machinery manufacturers are there in the Surat. Surat is also very fast for the development of the technical textile. So technical textile production is also has been increased in Gujarat, and mostly it is in Ahmedabad and Surat. So these are the important parameters of the state as well as the Surat for the development of the textile hub. Surat is a textile hub. Now, for the development of the textile industry in 2012, Government of Gujarat has come out with the Gujarat Textile Policy 2012 for 5 years, and then afterwards it has been increased for 1 year more. And in that scheme, the government has given an interest subsidy to the spinning industry and garment industry for the 7%, 6% to the technical textile sector, and all other sectors are the 5% interest subsidy. Now, power tariff is also given 1% to the industry. 50% assistance also given in the textile park. So, because of this type of policy, the development took place too much in the state, and more than 1,300 units are come up with the investment of 3,50,960 crore rupees. So these are the investments. Huge investment has been come because of the Gujarat Textile Policy 2012, and almost all the sectors have, all the activities have been covered under the scheme, like spinning, weaving, ginning and processing, texturizing, embroidery, dyeing and processing, ready-made garment, thread, knitting, twisting, winding, and technical textile. So most of all type of activities has been covered under the scheme. After the success of the Gujarat Textile Policy, Government of Gujarat have declared the apparel policy also. And in that apparel policy, Government of Gujarat is giving the very, very good incentive, and that is known as the payroll subsidy. That is 4,000 rupees to the female worker and 3,200 rupees to the male worker per month for 5 years. So that is a very good incentive to the apparel policy. And as well as the interest subsidy for 5% for 5 years is also there. Power tariff subsidies ₹1 for 5 years is also there. And through GIDC, a plug and play support facility has been also provided to the apparel and garment sector. After that, government is also come out with the Gujarat Textile Policy Value Chain 2019, and in which the interest subsidy are given 4 to 5% based on the employment. Power subsidy of ₹3 per unit for weaving and a weaving unit with LT connection, and 2 rupees per unit for others. Assistance for energy and water conservation and environment compliances are also there in the policy. So Government of Gujarat have declared a different policy as and when required for the textile sector. Nowadays, MSME policy is also good, in which the number of units under the textile sectors are coming up, and in which we are providing the interest subsidy as well as capital subsidy according to the category. Now, the regions have been divided into 3 categories, category 1, 2, and 3. So according to the category, we are giving the capital subsidy, and according to the category, we are giving to the interest subsidy also. So this also found very successful scheme of the state government. So looking to the time constraints, I'm very much thankful to the organizer, particularly Mr. Vipul Vijani of the CE, and Kartike sir, and UP Singh sir of the Government of India for providing me an opportunity to be placed here for the objectives of the state government for the development of the textile sector, and particularly a textile hub in the Surat. Thank you all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shimali. And it was full of so much information, which I'm sure people would like to discuss more. This is only the launch event, and I think it would be nice to have one event with you where the textile community could be there and could interact and ask more questions. But that we will do it at another date after the launch. But thank you very much for this comment. Now,
I'm ready to provide the full information and organize to full one-day program for contributing the assistance and how to go ahead in the textile sector, particularly in the Gujarat. Thank you, sir.
We will surely do that. Huh?
Thank you, sir.
We will take you up on that. I have great pleasure in requesting Shri Upendra Prasad Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Textiles. Thank him again for joining us today and blessing this whole process, which we hope will become a pilot of things which we can do in other parts of the country as well. Shri Upendra Prasad Singh.
Good afternoon to all of you. And certainly I'm happy to be here, but at the same time I'm a little uncomfortable as well. It becomes very difficult to speak on a subject which, frankly speaking, I don't have much knowledge. Sustainability in general, of course, is something which everybody understands. And in today's, after these pandemics and all, perhaps everybody has started realizing the importance of sustainability. And that's why we don't talk of just kind of a development. Now we all talk of sustainable development actually. But as far as sustainability in textile industry is concerned, frankly speaking, because I am still learning the kind of ropes of textile industry and textile sector, I don't know really that what kind of the different components of sustainability in textile industry. I remember sometimes back, Mr. Damodaran, who is Indian Textile Federation, he was also talking of something like developing a sustainability index for India for the textile sector actually. So sustainability may have many facets or aspects of it. But I would I would like to talk very briefly of something which I had been actually dealing in the past. In my previous avatar as Secretary, Ministry of Jal Shakti and Director General of National Mission for Clean Ganga. And that was primarily relating to water pollution actually. And then also I remember that everybody used to talk of that textile is a very polluting industry actually. But then initially when I had started joining, I used to find that everybody was talking of kind of a water pollution. But the solution which people were coming forward, I thought was not really a right kind of solution. In fact, I started with first a Ganga rejuvenation, and I always used to tell that the Ganga rejuvenation is like a story of 7 blind men and the elephant. Everyone who touched the elephant, a particular part of it, he thought that the problem is like that. Similarly, I find that everybody who was talking of the river rejuvenation or Ganga rejuvenation was basically talking of only one aspect of it. For example, everybody talked that time of either a sewage management or industrial effluent management. Hardly anybody talked of things like, let's say, environmental flow, or because for any river, what is important is the availability of water in the river. If you don't have availability of water in the river, then no matter whatever you do, it can't be a rejuvenation of river. When I talked first time that, in fact, someone told me that how, let's say, a groundwater exploitation is connected with the river rejuvenation. Initially, even I thought that what has the groundwater kind of exploitation has to do with the river rejuvenation. Then I learned that basically the entire lean season flow in a particular river comes from water which is stored in the aquifers actually. If you over-exploit the aquifers, the water which was flowing to the river stops flowing actually. So even if you treat all sewage and industrial effluent, if there is no water in the river to dilute it, what will happen is that what will flow is basically a kind of a treated effluent only and not a water. So it's very, first of all, it's very necessary to understand that what constitutes a sustainability in the textile industry. And as I found it there, in fact, a couple of days or maybe only day before yesterday, I was making a review of something called an IPDS. We have a scheme called Integrated Process Development Scheme, Processing Development Scheme, which basically kind of gives some financial assistance for the setting up of a comprehensive effluent treatment, CETP. Now in CTP, now when I asked my own people in this ministry that you tell me which are the major processing hubs or clusters, how much of a industrial effluent is getting generated by these textile hubs. How much of that in terms of MLD or whatever, and how much of that for treatment of that, how much treatment capacity has been created, what is the condition of that capacity, in the sense that those capacity created, what is the capacity utilization, those CETB functions, not functions, if they treat, whether do they kind of conform to the standards or not. And I found that we do not have even this basic information. I remember not only I was dealing with Ganga, but as per the NGT order, I was dealing with both industrial and sewage management for the entire country. And it took me 3-4 months to collect basic information for each state. Even in the case of sewage management, there was no proper information that, okay, in a particular state, how much sewage gets generated, how many STPs have been established, who manages those. You will find that in many states, there would be 3 or 4 different kind of organizations. Somewhere it would be managed by Jal Nigam, or somewhere it could be by the concerned municipal corporation, or somewhere it could be by development authority, or likes of that actually. So getting even figure that where are the STPs located, what is their capacity, on what technology they have been constructed, are they functioning, not functioning, if they are functioning, what is the capacity utilization, and if the capacity utilization is poor, what is the reasons for poor capacity utilization, the treated effluent, does it conform to the norms, if it doesn't conform to the norm, what is the reason. So these things are almost, it took me about 4 months or so to collect the basic information. Similar here, still I don't have, because now I was trying to make a program for next 5 years as far as IPDS, and I thought that at least I'm just talking of one aspect of sustainability, which is wastewater management from the textile industry. So unless I know what is the extent of problem, then how do I kind of find a solution to it? Our aim should be that in next 5 years time, for example, there should be no untreated effluent going out anywhere from any of the textile industry. But that first we kind of quantify the problem, and then naturally it will come that from where the funding will come, what kind of technology or whatever it may be. So that's one aspect of the sustainability. Similarly, there could be many aspects of sustainability, because at one point of time, something which is found to be a solution becomes a problem. For example, one time I remember that when first time perhaps a plastic came, everybody must have gone very gaga over kind of a plastic actually. And in due course, we found that the plastic has become a unmanageable problem kind of us. So similarly, I do not know, textiles are of different time. I'm still learning, right from a cotton textile or to jute or to wool. To now a lot of emphasis is there on man-made fiber and technical textile actually. So I do not know whether in long term, even the proper disposal of those man-made fibers and the technical textile could also pose some sustainability problem. So anyway, I'm happy that a beginning UNEP along with the central government, state government, as well as industry, because industry's participation is very, very important actually. So along with the industry, this very novel kind of initiative has been taken, and I'm sure that it would kind of address all kind of sustainability issues which is being faced by the textile sector, and maybe it will provide us the kind of inputs based on which we could kind of tweak our policy, or we could tweak our different programs and schemes, because I'm sure that today, for example, maybe some of the textiles from us would not get accepted. And I'm told already there are certain problems. Let's say very recently, certain cotton grown in certain certain regions of China is not being accepted in the USA and all, on basically on the environmental concerns actually. I'm told that some environmental concerns are already here also relating to even a child labor in textile industry or something. So maybe we should not be caught kind of off guard if certain sanctions comes on our exports, etc., only on the ground that we are not good at managing our environment. Already in India, I find that a number of hubs, yesterday again I was telling, day before yesterday I was finding that some of the textile hubs are closed for very long, only on the orders of a Supreme Court or the High Court or the NGT orders. And some other places, the other day I was discussing with a gentleman from Pali, and I found that in Pali processing hub, right now basically they operate for 30 or 40% of the total capacity of the production capacity they have, only on the ground that they do not have enough capacity of CTP to treat the effluent which is coming out of the textile industry actually. So it's not just a matter of that we are doing something for the society or for the country. I think the sustainability is very important even for the very survival of the industry actually. Many times we feel that these costs which goes towards making the whole process or product sustainable may not be very kind of a productive kind of, because it doesn't lead immediately to improvement of bottom line or top line. But then when the very existence of the industry is at stake on such grounds actually, I think this is high time we should start taking the issue of sustainability in textile industry very seriously. There are people like, I remember people like Sarabhai and all who have been working in this field for very long. I do remember that we had a small project with the CE when I was even Director General of National Mission for Clean Ganga. So we have a lot of expertise available in the country. Very good institutions are there. So I think UNEP, Ministry of Textile, Government of India, state governments, industry, and all these knowledge partners we have, we can certainly do a very good job of making our textile industry a really a sustainable textile industry. So I won't take more time. Thank you very much for, in fact, in a way, I thought that I will get excused from today's this thing. And maybe after I know a little more about the textile industry and sustainability issues of textile industry, I would come. But then I thought that my very presence basically should mean that yes, Government of India is very serious about the issue and Government of India is behind you. And with that aim, I decided to join you. Thank you very much for giving opportunity to share some of my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Upendra Prasad. I do remember the joy of working with you in Ganga, although it was a small project, but this one is holistic. And as you say, in terms of IPDS, I hope we can, with all the wonderful partners here, come up with a scheme which is really holistic and see the whole elephant as one and not see little parts of it as separate things. But and the many schemes which exist for different parts will come out. We are going to have a very good panel discussion after this particular session, but I would like to call on Dr. Mushtaq Memon, Regional Coordinator for Resource Efficiency in UNEP Asia Pacific Office, to give us a concluding remarks on the first part of today's program. Over to you, Dr. Mushtaq.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to Shri Upendra, Secretary, and also Atul Bhai there. So basically, I'll quickly just put few points for food for the thought. That as the world is reopening from pandemic, and we see that India is also like a government is really pushing very hard for the green recovery or building back better, and textile sector is one of the important sectors where the countries are putting their efforts to build it back better, so provide the green jobs. So in a way that if we look on the new trends coming, like carbon, this neutrality targets, or UN, this EU Green Deal, or USA's New Green Deal, or Japan's, Korea's, all the carbon neutrality. So basically they are building up the targets that how the imports, they will affect the imports to their countries, and that means they are affecting the exports from our countries. So how these standards are coming in place. So as Secretary mentioned already about the effluents, the resources efficiency issues within the textile, the pollution issues, and so on. So we have to look in the holistic way that how we are going to help the new textile hubs, that they meet the standards which are coming in place in next year, year next. And also India is leading on SDG 12, sustainable consumption and production. So Shri Modi ji, the Prime Minister himself is a very keen follower of the sustainable consumption and production and so on. So how we are really embedding this textile into achieving India's overall targets for the sustainable consumption and production. The third thing, again, we mentioned, Secretary mentioned about the plastic pollution, and we see that a lot of work by UNEP India office is coming up. So one of the key areas within the plastic pollution is microplastics, which is again related with the textile sector a lot, in addition to the tires and so on, but more important with the textile. So when we talk about the effluent or the wastewater treatment, so on the one hand is about the textile production, but more important is how we use the textile, how we wash the textile, and how much the fibers are getting into the rivers and the marine environment as a microplastic. So that's also very important to look. And the last but not the least, that how this textile sector is embedded with the other sectors, suppose agriculture sector. How many green jobs in the agriculture, in the cotton are related with the textile, and with the retailer sector, for example, with the jobs in the urban or the cities are related with the textile. So whether be the, selling, whether be the washing and so on. So if we took a full macro level view, I think this textile is in the center for most of the sustainable development goals which India can achieve. So at this point, I would like to again thank everyone, and especially CE and also UNEP India and also Secretary himself, but to look in the textile in much bigger projections, that through textile sector, how we can achieve SDGs, how we can achieve climate goals, and how we can increase the exports, green recovery, and microplastics. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And with this, we now move on to the panel discussion. We have several leaders from the textile industry in Surat. I will ask my colleague Sanskriti Menon to take over from here. Sanskriti, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Kartik Bhai, and thank you also for this really good inaugural session, which sets the context for the panel discussion. And I'd like to welcome all the panelists. And as Kartik Bhai said, the panel is really the leaders from the textile industry sector, and they are really the key to the transformation that is needed and that has been spoken about in the inaugural panel. So we start with the South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I understand that both Mr. Dinesh Navadia and Shri Ashish Gujarati are there. And I think it is Mr. Ashish Gujarati who would be speaking. So it's great to have both the President and the Vice President with us to introduce. I understand, Mr. Ashish, you would be speaking, right? So, yeah.
Words of welcome from our president.
Yes. So it's wonderful. So yeah, we'll hear both of you just now. And so Dinesh ji is the president of the South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Ashish Gujarati is also the president of the Pandisara Weavers Cooperative Society and the vice president of the Gujarat Chamber, South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And so I think the chamber has really a good vision to make Surat the global brand for the technical textiles and garments. And we'd like to hear both of you and really understand about the preparedness of the textile sector and the progress or the journey towards sustainability. So over to you briefly, just 5 minutes.
नमस्कार, आज के वेब सेमिनार के अंदर उपस्थित सब महानुभाव, तो सदर्न गुजरात चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स की इंडस्ट्री के अंदर ऐसे देखे तो टेक्सटाइल और डायमंड इंडस्ट्री पूरे दक्षिण गुजरात के अंदर भारत की इकोनॉमी को लीड करती है। आज मैं खुद जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर से बिलोंग करता हूं और मेरे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट आशीष गुजरात के टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री से बिलोंग करते हैं। मेरा चौकस मानना है कि टेक्सटाइल हब की जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने और खास करके हमारे टेक्सटाइल मिनिस्टर और सुब्रत जी ईराना जी ने जो बात रखी है टेक्सटाइल हब बनाने की पूरे भारत के अंदर, इसमें से गुजरात को प्रेफरेंस के माध्यम से आज जो हम यहाँ डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं, मेरा चौकस मानना है कि सूरत के अंदर जिस तरह से टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री का डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। इसके अंदर 2-3 चीज की कमी है आज की डेट में हम देखें तो। एक तो रिसर्च पार्ट हमारे पास नहीं है, वो शायद कपड़े के रिसर्च पार्ट की बात करें, हम मशीनरी के रिसर्च की बात करें, आज चाइना के हर बात में हम कॉम्पीट करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन चाइना के कंपैरिजन में जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भारत के पास होना चाहिए किसी भी पार्क के लिए, आज कई महानुभाव ने चाइना का विजिट भी किया कि वहां देखा भी हमने कि आज कोई भी पार्क है तो वहाँ पूरी फैसिलिटी के साथ वो लोग पार्क डेवलप करते हैं। शायद यहाँ भी हम भारत के अंदर भी जो अभी एक नया दिशा नई सोच लेके हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, तो मेरा चौकस मानना है कि शायद यही बात पे हम साथ में मिलकर कुछ थिंकिंग करके इसमें से हम एक अच्छे मॉडल बना के हम पार्क के यहाँ डेवलपमेंट करेंगे, तो प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी का जो वैल्यू क्रिएशन का जो एम है मेकिंग इंडिया का, हम उसको सक्सेसफुल बना सकेंगे। बाकी टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री से मेरे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट आशीष भाई गुजराती इसके बारे में थोड़ा आपको है।
Thank you. Respected Textile Secretary of India, Sri Upendra Singh, and all the other distinguished panelists present here. I am honored to present my views on the roadmap of Sustainable Textile Hub in India. Friends, Surat is considered to be the MMF Textile Hub of India, and it produces 60% of the total MMF production of India. So therefore, the adoption of the sustainable manufacturing practices by Surat-based textile manufacturing units will pave way to India adopting sustainable manufacturing activities. We can say that sustainability for manufacturing activities means reduction of pollution activity, increase of non-polluting green manufacturing practices. It evolves of conservation of energy and water, reduction of carbon emission from the production processes, safe disposal of hazardous and harmful chemicals, adoption of processes and systems which eliminates the use of fossil fuels or the harmful and hazardous substances. Many Surat-based textile manufacturers have adopted the above measures in their manufacturing facilities. We have seen that in Sachin Industrial Estate, there is a common boiler unit which is operating and which supplies steam to the local industrial unit. Such projects which are promoted as of now under Gujarat Industrial Policy of 2020 has a cap of 20 crore subsidy. But for faster adoption of the greener and cleaner and sustainable technology, the incentive should be available to the extent of maximum possible size of such plants. We therefore believe that such common steam generation and supply plants should be made mandatory in all upcoming GIDCs of the state, and as such, the infrastructure should be the part of the common infrastructure, just like roads, WTPs, electrical lines, etc. Therefore, the policy governing the supply and use of the energy by the textile unit must be specifically incentivize the textile manufacturing units, replacing means of supply of energy using fossil fuel to the greener and cleaner means. Such policy must exist from the top, that is Ministry of Textile, to promote the faster adoption of the greener option in manufacturing activities, including promoting green and clean source of energy supply. It is believed that through various studies that most contributing factors towards the air pollution is by the means of transportation. Therefore, the Ministry of Textile in association with the Ministry of Transport should devise the scheme of adoption of non-polluting transportation solution in textile sectors and should specifically provide incentives for units fully converting its transportation activity by cleaner technology like adoption of EV, electrical vehicles for internal material movement of their staff movement. Towards the energy and water conservation areas also, Textile Ministry should take a lead in developing a target-based strategy in each respective area and should develop a scheme for adoption of such technology in individual textile unit or collectively within the cluster. The use of coal can be replaced by the gasifier using natural gas. In Surat and South Gujarat particularly, has a vast network of PNG supply so that such unit can be transferred into thermal requirement from coal to gas should be incentivized. So on the similar lines, the unit recycling its 50% of the spent water should be incentivized. The schemes for the effluent treatment plant exist at large cluster level. The textile sector being too much fragmented and is one of the oldest industry in India, has presence in crowded places. Therefore, the scheme to install the small ETPs by textile units, where every applicable should be devised by the both centers and state in the policy, which will surely reduce the water pollution by significant level. I would like to give the details that the Surat is the second highest manufacturing hub of the water jet weaving process after China in the world. And we are having around more than 30,000 water jet machines installed in Surat. And we require around 70 MLD of the ETP and recycling plant. But the capacity of each ETP or CETP would be around 10 MLD. And we have potential to install more, around say 3-4 lakhs of water jet machines in Surat. After China at present is having around 8 lakh water jet units. So we should have a sustainable long-term solution for this industry also. It is also desirable that state government should reserve the waste coastal land for the specific effluent generating textile unit for the safe deep sea disposal of the effluent as per the framework. At present, most of the textile industry products are parked in single-use plastic, which is about to be banned shortly. As per plastic waste management rule coming in force from the next year, extended producer responsibility will force textile industry to come with a biodegradable packing solution. I wish if the forum participants can contribute something on the solution of packaging also. I am sure that UNEP, Ministry of Textile and CE will identify the right intervention and shall devise the strategy towards the faster adoption of cleaner and greener means of production in Indian textile clusters. The schemes like capital subsidy up to 80% of the adoption capital cost should be made available to the units adopting such sustainable practices. For that, the cap of 25 crores in a common ETP infrastructure project should be removed and should be extended for the large common use project as well. I strongly believe this wonderful initiative taken by UNEP, Ministry of Textile, CE and Textile Industry of Surat Cluster will achieve 100% adoption of sustainable manufacturing activity shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dinesh ji and Ashish ji, and for laying out the kinds of expectations that are there, and for also committing to being part of this project. So I'd like to now invite Shri Jitendra Vakharia ji. He is the Managing Director and Executive Director at the Avalon Synthetics Limited. And he's also the current president of the South Gujarat Textile Processors Association. We understand that your interests are very much in environment-friendly solutions and renewable energy and biofuels, and also that you've been actively taking up the emissions trading in Surat. So we'd like to really understand from you what have been the achievements and aspirations of the industry so far. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't speak the name because of too much time has been sparse and I have to speak for 5 minutes only. So I will end my speech within 5 minutes only. One thing I would like to say that I believe in what I have to do, what I expect from others. Once I do on my behalf, then I can ask for others. So regarding the just recycling of water, none of center in India have started this. We started that in 13 years. Then since last 6-7 years, we are using recycled water in our industry, that GIDC Pandesara. And that was the dream project when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji was the CM of Gujarat. And he personally told me that this is a very good kind of achievement you are going on. So he gave me regards on that day. But today, just 1 or 1 and a half back, regarding when the inauguration project of Surat Metro cities, he told that this is the only municipal corporation who is getting income of 140 crore rupees to the industry after giving the recycled water. So that we had started this because we need water. Our textile processing industry is mainly water-based industry. So none and not a single industry can run without the water. We have here at Tapti rivers, and we have a very Arabian Sea also with that. So when just in 1919, Mr. Jagdishan was the municipal commissioner over here, and I had a good relation with him. Once he came to my factory, people were using the tanker water. So he asked me, why you are using this tanker water? I can give you the water. From that day, we started this fresh water, which was to be used for the portable use. He had a municipal corporation had an ample amount of water. So we started with a special agreement. But after using this water in the season of in April, May, June, we were lacking of the supply of this. So I thought we must use the recycled water. Our Honorable Municipal Commissioner, Aparna Madam, I met him several times and I have convinced that we can recycle this water, and they were not even had a full confidence on what I was saying. So I had given an affidavit to them that this is the only source for the industry to sustain this, because everywhere water will be required for domestic purpose. If the supply is domestic purpose, then it can be recycled easily. So I got it started in 2013, already 7 years back. I'm really very proud to be said that after this, our Honorable Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has made a special water to industry to use the recycled water only. And he had declared a special scheme at the rate of what is the tertiary treated water, after fully treated, what will be the cost of that. Now, it is really a very proud moment for me that our municipal corporation is getting around 150 to 170 crore rupees per month. That is also not a small amount. Secondly, our Honorable Textile Secretary have told me that everywhere there is a pollution, there is a pollution, there is a pollution. He told about the Ganga river also. But in Surat, we have not even a single, we have 6 common effluent treatment plants. Out there, none of them is an outlet at our Tapti rivers. So everybody is going to the Khadi to Arabian Sea. So we don't had a problem regarding this. Just 5-6 years back, one from MOEF, one thing declared, each and every textile unit should be on GLD. They cannot discharge water to be. But that the issue was for Tirupur only. For Ahmedabad, it is a different situation. For Surat, it is different situation. That time, our Honorable Kartikeya sir, who under their leadership, Center for Environment, we made a special project that this ZLD is not applicable to each and every part of the country or even each and every part of the state also. Because in Surat, we have a different situation. In Baroda, Ahmedabad, everywhere a different situation. Surat is an ideal situation to use the water, and after common effluent treatment plant, it have a very safe discharge also. So in Surat, we have a different situation. So we started this, and we have given a good example. Nobody in India has started this, even not, there are so many states, they are not, they are thinking to have a recycle. Secondly, I started this, Mr. Chirag Bhimani is there. He has attended so many meetings when he was in Gujarat Pollution Control Board. Now he has joined the MOEF. So, but he knows that this program started in 2012. That time, Jepal and Dr. Saha, that has come to Surat, and that time 3 states were decided to have an emission trading scheme to introduce. One was Gujarat, second one was Maharashtra, and third one was Tamil Nadu. Nobody started this, and when I became a president in 2013, I took up this project. I worked hard on it. I convinced all of my members, and I really am thankful to all of my members that they have trusted on me, and I started this very successfully. Now I am, Punjab people are also calling me upon. Because of pandemic, I cannot go anywhere. In even Ahmedabad also, I have so many meetings with them. In even Maharashtra also. So that emission trading system is introduced in first time in Surat in the whole of world. And not only we have through JPAL, Chicago University, Mr. Michael Greenstone, and Yale University. There are 3-4 universities under their supervision and under that guidance. We have started this emission trading system successfully. And now we are going to start, because of this last year pandemic and just now also, we cannot expand it. But otherwise, we had a plan to join entire more than 400 industries who is vomiting air pollution. So it was our plan, but because of the situation, I could not. But now in Punjab also, Jalandhar is interested, and now Ahmedabad is also going to start within a very short time. That after Vapi and Ankleshwar, for whole of the Gujarat is focusing on the emission trading system. That also we have started in. So I believe in that. Let me tell you again, I believe in what I can do and what I can give a best example to the other, rather than I'm asking from others to help me. So if you want to be a good industrialist, I believe in Ratan Tata. He always tells that me first I do, and I stick on that, and I make it right. If my decision is wrong, but that is within my inside power, I can prove it right. So once before thinking anything, I start doing the work, and ultimately I'm getting success. So I think this is, rather than I was allotted just 5 minutes, and I spoke more than for 10 minutes. Thank you very much calling me upon. And I assure you that whenever I can be helpful to any of the cluster of the India or Gujarat, I will be highly obliged if somebody called to me, because this is a really noble cause for this. And for these two things, never the textile industry can sustain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jitendra Bhaiji, and especially about talking about the need to take on the personal responsibility, and which you showed also with recycled water and the emissions trading. And I think that important point about making that local specific, local environmental conditions really come into play when developing the solutions as well. So thanks for that, Jitendra Bhai. Let's move on to Trishit Desai. He would be really speaking about the barriers in the way of sustainability. Trishit Bhai is in fact, connecting to the previous topic as well. He specializes in the treatment of industrial effluent water and sewage water. And he also has expertise in solid waste management. And he's the founder and head of Geostone Corporation, which is a leading consulting company in environmental engineering. So Trishit Bhai, happy to hear from you about what do you anticipate are some of the barriers, and if possible also maybe if you can briefly touch upon some good practices to address these barriers and change the mindsets within industry.
Thank you, Sanskriti ji. I share some concerns with UP Singh Sahab. It was a great honor to work with him under the support to Ganga Rejuvenation Project. My concerns are different. I got vaccinated, and I am under heavy medication for not getting fever. Feeling a bit dizziness, and I may take maybe 2-3 minutes longer. Please bear with me. I have to make some very precise points. To start with, Surat had been pioneer with the textile, not from 10 years back or maybe 15 years back, but right from the British time and even well before that. We are well known with the textile. We were a textile hub. We were a port. We were exporting the textile to the world well before the British came into, on our land. Having said that, the second most advantage that Surat have, and to that extent I share some comment. I would like to add some value to what Shrimali Sahab has said. What we call is, we have a farm to fashion, whole value chain is there. Now, if you look at the value chain, we have two kind of pathways. One is a man-made fiber, one is the natural fiber. If we talk of the natural fiber, we have, multiple routes, like we have the wool, we have the jute, we have the cotton. If we talk of Gujarat, we have a cotton hub, which is Ahmedabad. If we talk of the man-made fiber, we have Surat. And if we talk of the farm to fashion, the farm start from what we call, the Bombay High. The name is, kind of a disguising. Bombay High is no close to Bombay at all. It's very close to Gujarat, but some political reason it was named as a Bombay High because it was far from Bombay, very close to Gujarat. So the gas is extracted from the Bombay High, come to our own city on the western outskirts. We have a mega hub called Hajira, where the gas is clean, then it's transferred to the GAIL, then it goes to the Reliance, then there is the ethylene production is there, then amine is produced. Only one line is missing in the value chain, which is in Silvassa. Then again, we have a PTA unit, we have the yarn production units there, we have twisting, sizing, weaving, including, which is called the most producing industry, the textile process house. And so to that extent, we have the whole value chain in our city itself. So that is, Surat is that way uniquely placed. Having said that, I would also like to share some experiences that with respect to the textile and the sustainable textile, the ODA projects and Surat, this is not a new affair. Right from, I remember, when I came into the professional life in 2001, we have been associated with UNEP, UNIDO, World Bank, ADB, etc., on cleaner production, waste minimization circles, cleaner technology, etc., etc. So we have been, the Surat industries, especially the textile industries, are working with the ODA agencies since long, more than 20 years, for the improvement of the environment. And Surat industries and the promoter have been most proactive in supporting such activity across the world. I can very proudly say that. Having said that, I would like to also throw upon some of the ongoing projects, as our prominent Jitubai has already suggested, ETS, Emission Trading Scheme, which was a pilot project. And if you'd like to Google, this is the project for which the Nobel Prize for Economics was distributed in 29. So this is a very, very game-changing idea. Pollution, how you can use the pollution to reduce the poverty. That is the idea. That is being mooted by the MIT J-PAL lab. This second idea is the reuse of the treated water. We are the first in the country to do this and to establish this example. Thirdly, I would also like to throw upon some of the experiences, especially for the working with Sri Singh Sahab and Sri Mishra ji at the NMCG. We have audited, we were given, 5 case examples of CTPs in the state of Uttar Pradesh. That is Badohi, Tronika city in Ghaziabad, Mathura, Ruma, that is in Kanpur, and also Pilakwa. One more case was also given, which is a Kanpur, which is a leather cluster. But as per the prevailing guideline, leather comes under the Ministry of Textiles. And what we have seen is, more or less largely the failure. The reports are there with the NMCG. This is not the forum to discuss those cases. But coming to the main point and to make it short and brief, if we have to base our dialogue on the sustainability, I see some of the challenges which should be the pillar of discussions for creating the further projects, further efforts. The first thing first is the manpower, because textile industry cannot run without manpower. Now, there was also some mention by Srimaliji. I'm very happy to announce, if the forum is not informed, we have a department called NSDC at the Government of India and FCGJ. So these two departments are very really and very eager to help all kind of industries in creating the capacity building for the industry as a whole through various programs, through their own funds. This we must look into. The second thing is the sustainability of the supply of fiber. I would also like to give one example why this should also be looked into. Uh, if you look at the, especially the case of Surat, the petroleum prices are going higher and higher and higher. And this is a competitive world. So we have to find a right balance in between somewhere. The second case is, more interesting, and that project was also headed by me. Fortunately, the NDA period is over, and I'm open to discuss it. 3 years back, I was retained by the, some U.S. government, U.S. giant companies like consortium, like Puma, Sara Lee, and all those things. Just to understand, if China, doesn't supply the cotton, then what will happen to them? Whether there is a sustainable fiber supply for their businesses from India or not. So we did this project, and 2 years later, that is in 2020, we understood why they have to do this project. So the world is eyeing at India and Surat with great hope. To that extent, we'll also have to look at the sustainability of the supply of the fiber so that we can create the fabric out of it. The third is the sustainable supply of the water, because textile industry, especially the N-1 step, as we call it, the processing, cannot run without water. And as Jitu Bhai already said it, and we are very proud that we already have presented a case for the world to follow. Use the treated sewage for the production of textile. The fourth one is the adaptation of technology. To certain extent, there are a lot of government incentive schemes are there, like SITP is there, TUF is there, the interest subsidies there, etc., etc. But we will have to integrate these efforts also, so that we can have the best available technology. I would also like to give a very small example. Under the Indo-German cooperation, we did a project in 2013-2015 on the adaptation of best available technology in textile sector. And we were surprised to understand that most of the industry have initiated without even asking the government to provide any financial assistance. They have invested their money, their own money, for the betterment of the environment as well as their own economic benefits. So technology adaptation is also one of the pillars. The other one is the environment preservation. As we all know, wherever there is a pollution, there is always a noise. So we have to safeguard the industrial output with the in the sustainable production environment. The one thing more point I would like to add is, recently we have announced one scheme at the Government of India, which is called the PLI, the Production Linked Incentive. So somehow textile also need to be introduced into this scheme. Then one challenge also is that, like, I am also, independent expert appointed by the Honorable NGT as well as some other institutions also. If you look at what we call the NGT has classified as legacy waste, we have two kind of waste. One is the plastic waste, which cannot be disposed. Second one is the textile waste. So when the world is talking of the EPR nowadays, perhaps this principle will also be introduced to the textile industry. So textile industry will have to be prepared for that, or otherwise will have to make the initiation into this direction.
Thank you.
And lastly,
Yeah, okay.
just about 1 minute. Something is missing. As I said, we have the complete chain. Everywhere we see what we call the MNP, that is, Milan, New York, and Paris. We miss Surat here. We had a great leap into the diamond industry where we have the diamond booths here. We need to have a textile booths of the world in Surat. Fortunately, in the recent budget, there was an announcement that the mega textile park will be, initiated, will be there somewhere near Surat at the capital outlay of 4,400 crore rupees. We need to have something like this, MNPS in Surat. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tushit Bhai. And very interesting concepts also, this farm to fashion firstly, but also many important points about, the adaptation and adoption of the best available technologies, that it makes business sense to have sustainability integrated. And this farm to fashion, we would really like, my colleague is also there. We are starting a new project. MPN Systems Mahesh Patankar is there attending the seminar as well. And we immediately caught on to that because we would like to really use this concept in a new project we're taking up for looking at sustainable value chains in Bihar and taking sort of produce from community to village to markets and see how we can have low carbon sustainable value chain. So very interesting points that have been made. Mr. Vatsal Nayak is not present, I think. So we miss him. He was to speak about the role of associations as a very important stakeholders, but maybe we have another occasion to hear him sometime. Let's go on to Mr. Chirag Bhimani from GIZ. He is at the core an environmental engineer. And prior to joining GIZ, Mr. Chirag has been with the GPCB, the Gujarat Pollution Control Board, for close to 25 years. And he's sort of done human service in Gujarat with the environmental regulations. And now he's the coordinator for the project for the best available techniques reference documents, or BRF documents, that are being prepared for Gujarat in collaboration with the GIZ. And this is the first of its kind effort in India. And he is senior advisor to GIZ and holding the portfolios for air pollution and the BRF documents. So yes, we look forward to hearing from you, Chirag Bhai, and on the advent of environmental acts and the provisions and the role for achieving sustainability, as well as if briefly you can touch upon how GIZ and other bilateral and multilateral agencies could really support this sustainability transition, especially keeping in mind the affordability and the larger societal systems in mind. Over to you, Chirag.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. As you very rightly said, yes, I am an environmental engineer by core. So environment conservation and pollution control comes by nature to me. Right now, all the industries in India or across the world need to comply to the environmental norms that are being prescribed by the concerned governments. So before going to the topic that I really want to touch upon, let me just give you a background as to how the environmental norms are prescribed right now in India. In India, the authority to formulate the norms is Central Pollution Control Board, and to notify them, it is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which again in turn gives the executive powers to the CPCB and to the state pollution control boards to get those norms implemented. Now, there is a way of formulation or the prescription of these norms, in which there are various committees formed at the CPCB or at the MOF level. They decide the norms and they come out with a document which is known as Comprehensive Industries Document, or we call it as COINDS. And these COINDS is a study of the industries, and after the study of industries by few of the experts, they come out with the prescribed norms, which time and on are amended as per the requirements, and the norms are enforced and are implemented on the industries, and industries need to comply. The current COIND document that is relevant to the textile industry, of course, it is now, I can say, obsolete. It was formulated way back in 2000, that is almost 21 years back. And you can say there have been a lot of amendments on those prescriptions, and they are by and large not matching to the needs of the textile industries. So looking to these problems where the norms say something, the textile industries are finding it difficult to comply, Government of Gujarat and Gujarat Pollution Control Board tried to look out a way for it. They found that the European way of enforcing or formulating the norms and enforcing them was very novel, was very encouraging, because during the formulation of these norms, a specific approach is carried out where a huge technical working group is made, wherein you have the regulators, you have the industries, you have the vendors who are making and selling the machines, you have the vendors who are selling the chemicals. So you can see the entire problem is dealt holistically, and over there the problems are discussed, the solutions are deliberated, and then you come out with a solution which is known as the best available techniques reference document. So in this document, you have a sort of benchmarking of technologies or benchmarking of techniques for each of the process of the industries. So this is possible for any of the industries. You can do it for textile industries, you can do it for chemical industries, you can do it for leather and tannery. The approach remains the same. You just need to take a sector of industry, study the processes, study the best available techniques. And yes, one thing over here, while studying the techniques, while suggesting the techniques, not only the technical feasibility is taken into account, economic feasibility is taken into account. So it is seen that, of course, there can be a technology which is so nice that if you process a textile cloth, or if you process a piece of leather into it, it will not give any wastewater, it will not give any waste. But then what about the price? Whether that price is accepted by the customer. So that all things are taken into account, and you come out with a benchmarking of techniques and technologies, which if adopted by the industries, of course, they will give environmental compliance, that is for sure. But as a byproduct, it will give them resource saving, it can give them better efficiency, better yield, it can give them energy saving. So looking to this, all these things, GPCB and Gujarat government went ahead with this project. This project is right now going on. We have had visits in Surat, in Ahmedabad of a few of the industries which are doing very well, which can be taken as case examples, and we are in the process of making this document. What happened later is, seeing the efforts of Gujarat government and GPCB, even the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they wanted a similar document at the national level. So efforts have started even at the national level. So it might happen that by the time the document of Gujarat is published, we are almost halfway at the national level, and the Gujarat document may get subsumed into the national document. But yes, of course, it is a matter of pride for Surat, Ahmedabad and Gujarat that you are doing something which is commendable, first of its kind in India. And let me tell you, not only in textile, best available techniques is the way to go ahead for each and every industrial sector across the world. I am on the committee of experts on OECD, where we talk of BAT in textiles, where we talk of BAT in cement, where we talk of BAT in power plants. So slowly, all the governments are taking the BAT approach for environmental friendly production, for environmental compliances industries. So I am very much hopeful that this new way of tackling the problem, wherein it is not that a command and control type of system is there, where a set of environmental norms are just hammered down the industries, and whether they are able to comply to them or not, they are to achieve them. No. Now the industries, the NGOs, citizens all sit on a table, discuss what is possible, what is not possible, what is feasible, what is not feasible, and then come out with a set of norms which sets a win-win situation for everybody, for the citizens, for the industries, and for the environment itself. So this is something new that is coming up, and the industries in Surat, the textile industries in Surat and Ahmedabad have always given a welcome approach to this novel and innovative ways of tackling the environmental problems. So that is what I wanted to say today, that yes, this new set of or a new way of tackling the environmental issues is coming up, which will surely lead towards a sustainable textile sector. Because right now, if you see, we all know that there are a lot of problems in the water jet units, in the dye printing units, and these are not getting resolved so easily. But when you have this BAT approach where we all together jointly come to tackle a solution and tackle a problem and come out with a solution, that will be surely in the roadmap for a sustainable textile. I would not say textile hub, but I would say textile sector in total. So that is my point that I wanted to put in for the today's event, that yes, BAT or the best available techniques is the way to go ahead for the textile sector in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you, Chirag Bhai. And I think each of these will probably require, within the sector, further webinars and further discussions of actually understanding what these are and then going forward into adaptation and adoption rather. There are a couple of questions. I know that we have maybe only 3-4 minutes remaining, but it would be good to just have a quick response. There are 2 questions which are somewhat similar, which is on the unorganized and informal units. And either Kartik Bhai or Tushar Bhai, if you could just maybe respond to this, whether the study that we are taking up now in the next 6-7 months, whether we would be looking at the unorganized sector and the informal units, and to identify the magnitude of the problem and what are their issues and how can they be better responded to without really impacting livelihoods adversely. So what can the project do for that? Unmute, yeah.
My sense would be let the panel say, but I think we are looking at it holistically. And in India, the informal sector is very much part of every value chain. So you cannot ignore any sector. Here we have a lot of micro enterprises. It's not only informal, but you also have a very large number of micro enterprises. You have small enterprises, medium enterprises. So the textile industry really shows the whole length and breadth of Indian industry, from very large to very, very small. And I think we need solutions which enable them to work together. And as the last speaker, Mr. Bhimani said, there might be interesting technology interventions at all these sectors. Even at the very smallest sector, today you could do better. But I think you need to take a holistic view, if I'm not right. Archana Ben is also here from, she might also want to add her bit on this.
Archana Dattaji, if you could, yeah.
Thank you. As Kartikeji said, I think looking at the informal units is certainly important aspect, and that is something which, especially from this study, the objective is to identify the magnitude of the problem in the hotspots, and without looking at informal units, we will not be able to touch upon what the magnitude of problem is. So I think and I believe that we would certainly look at the informal sector.
Thank you. The next question, Jitendra Bhai Vakaria ji, is really, there's of course, a complementing to your initiative for use of treated water. But then what are the techniques that have been, what are the initiatives for reduction of water use in the textile sector?
Regarding the minimize the use of water in processes industry, we have installed with the MSME department and EESL to introduce the latest technology, that is PLC, program logistic based. So in manual operation, our workers may take more water or less water. Because of installing PLC, each and every machine, no bake-to-bake variation was, almost problem solved that. And secondly, the use of water. But this much amount of water should be used for, the washing purpose only. Sometimes they use more water for washing. So any process has been textile accordingly program PLC works upon that. So that is the one thing we are going. Now we are going to put a O2 analyzer on the chimney. So how much air you require to burn the fuel, coal. So when the excess is entering the boiler flue bed, then excess air will reduce the temperature of the boiler flue bed. If air is less, then no oxygen will be available to burn the coal. So exact amount of the exact amount we are going to install O2 analyzer. How much oxygen required for the required manufacturing of the steel. So that also we are going to install. So our air pollution will be almost minimized onto that. Third, we have started automatic fuel feeding systems. So sometimes worker is put more and more in a flue bed and he sits for half an hour. That all the problems which we are facing in the practical approach. So this has been, we are by the automation, we are minimizing this program. So this is what we are doing now. Let me say you, Kartikeya sir has visited our common effluent treatment plant. Sir, I would like to say that we have installed even a solar energy, solar drying sludge bed also. With that, the amount we were to giving to the solid waste disposal site, it is being reduced 40%. We have minimized the volume of the solid sludge bed. We have installed one solar salt flying rate also. That is also a very new technology. So we always apply upon this time. And let me say you one thing. This is all a learning process. Once I do this, it is already for today only. Tomorrow, some more requirement will be there, more problem will be issued. When I started my industry after 81, this Air Pollution Act introduced. That time limit was 600 SPM. Then it reduced to 400. Then it reduced to, the manager is laughing to me because he knows this. Now, may it is a 150 SPM limit. May it be reduced to 100 also. It is depend on the authorities, and they are not blind. They are not. They make these all systems to prevent the air pollution and to sustain the industry. So we have to accept that. And
yes,
all the time it will be.
No, thank you. I think how to actually do environmental management. We will probably require some more seminars and webinars. So just a brief answer was all right at this stage, I think. And thank you, Joy Shah and Aziz Rahman, for the questions that you asked. There is just one very quick a question which is there from Shruti Dalal, which is to looking at, in order to make the industry sustainable, we have to make it circular. That is, bring apparel back into the system and recycle it, thereby using lesser virgin products. So if anybody would like to just take this last question, and then we will go to Tushar Bhai for closing. This is rather a landscape level question, yes, sir. Which probably extends beyond Surat and beyond the limits of the project. But I think if you're doing a wider, Kartik Bhai, if you would like to just.
I just want to say that, right at the beginning, Atulji very much mentioned this in the context of the circular economy.
Yeah.
I think that's the context here. I think several of the speakers also spoke about going towards that direction. So it's not just pollution, but actually going a little beyond it to saying how you can use the output of one into the input of another. I think we had a lot of discussion on reusing wastewater, for instance, and other things. So I think this is the right way to go. As you rightly said, this was a launch event today. We are going to have over the next few years a lot of detailed events with partners looking at things. As Jitendra Bhai, as he rightly said, when we went there, we were just discussing one particular intervention on that day, the brick or whatever it was we were discussing. So I think there are lots of detailed talks which are required in order to achieve this, but it's also good to have these overviews. So one sees the larger picture and then the micro picture also. So I would say over to Tushar Bhai now for this. Tushar Bhai.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the CE, I'm much grateful and thankful to UNEP for having brought this project to us, number one, and to SGCCI and SGTPA for partnering us for the whole project. As far as the launch event is concerned, I believe we are sensitized enough to take it forward, although given the constraint of the epidemic and absentia in physical. I'm sure what we have heard today would definitely chalk out a mark, a way forward for us. As a result of today's panel discussion and the baseline study that we have been preparing with consultation online and through telephonic calls, etc., with the stakeholders from Surat, we need to once again meet for a longer period of time, maybe 15, 20 days from now. I'll work it out with both SGCCI and SGTPA as to how best and how many of us can get together. We will not wait for the pandemic to reduce its intensity. We will once again go online if required, but we do need to continue the momentum in order to chalk out the scaffolding, at least for the roadmap to be devised. We will need a lot of information from your side. We will need a lot of interaction. We will keep on getting back to you. Thank you so much, every member of the panel, for being with us this afternoon and sharing your views and thoughts. Thank you, Sanskriti, for being there with us. And with that, we say goodbye and we hope to meet again very soon.
Thank you, Tushar Bhai, too.